Hello and welcome. So, let me ask you a question. What's the single most valuable resource you have? I'll give you a hint. It's not your time and it's not your money. It's your attention. Today, we're jumping into the incredible work of Daniel Goleman to figure out how we can protect and even strengthen this absolutely vital asset.
Okay, just think about this quote for a second. It's from 1977, way before the internet, way before smartphones. Herbert Simon absolutely nailed our modern problem. We are swimming, no, we are drowning in information. And because of that, Goleman warns we're at risk of intentional impoverishment. Our ability to truly focus is becoming rare and incredibly valuable.
So here's our game plan. We're going to tackle this in 5 parts. We'll start by looking at how our attention is under constant attack. Then we'll see the steep price we're all paying. After that, we'll explore a new way to think about focus. And then, this is the best part, we'll get into how you can actually train your attention to totally improve your life. To really get a grip on our problem today, let's look at a classic experiment from Princeton. So picture this. Divinity students are asked to prepare a talk about the Good Samaritan. Then, on their way to actually give the sermon, they walk right past an actor who's pretending to be in distress. You know what the biggest factor was in whether they stopped to help? It wasn't how deeply they were thinking about being a good person. It was just whether they were in a hurry. When our mind is preoccupied, we literally become blind to what's right in front of us. You ever heard of the word pizzle? It was made up back in 2007. When someone ignoring you for their BlackBerry was still kind of shocking and annoying? Well, today, that word is basically extinct. Why? Because the behavior is just normal now. Think about it. You've seen it, right? That couple on a romantic date, both just staring into their phones instead of each other's eyes. Our digital lives are completely rewriting how we connect or don't connect. And that constant distraction, well, it's costing us something huge. Real human connection. True rapport has these 3 ingredients, and look what's number 1: full mutual attention. It's the starting block. Without it, you don't get that nonverbal synchrony, that feeling of being perfectly in sync, and you definitely don't get that amazing feeling of being truly seen and heard. We are literally trading away the richest parts of being human for a glowing screen. And look, this fractured attention doesn't just hurt our relationships. It comes at a massive cost to our ability to just perform at our best, whether that's at your job, in the gym, or trying to learn something new. Our performance basically follows this upside-down U curve. It's pretty simple. Over on the left, if you have too little stress, you're just bored, you're not engaged. But way over on the right, with way too much stress, you're overwhelmed, you're frazzled. The magic, that sweet spot right at the top of the curve where we do our best work, that state is called flow. Flow, that's that incredible state where you are just completely lost in what you're doing. Goleman tells this wild story about a surgeon who was so deep in flow, he didn't even notice the roof of the operating room collapsing. Now, frazzle is the exact opposite. That's when stress hormones flood your system and you can't focus on what you're supposed to be doing because your brain is just stuck on a loop, worrying about what's upsetting you. So the big question is, how do we get our focus back? Well, Goleman says we need to develop 3 essential types of attention. It's a whole new framework for being effective in the world. First up is inner focus. Think of this as your self-awareness, your ethical rudder. It's that gut feeling that tells you when a decision is right or wrong for you. A great example is George Lucas. He decided to bet on himself and finance Star Wars. Everyone in Hollywood told him he was crazy, that it was a huge mistake, but he trusted that inner rudder, that deep sense that it was the right move for him. Next, you've got other focus, and this is the absolute heart of empathy. It really has 2 flavors. There's cognitive empathy, which is understanding how someone else thinks, and then there's emotional empathy, which is actually feeling with them. Leaders who can do both, well, they can connect and motivate people on a completely different level. And finally, there's outer focus. This is all about zooming out and seeing the big picture, the wider systems, the market trends, the forces that are shaping everything. BlackBerry is the classic cautionary tale here. They had an amazing product, right? But they were so focused inward on perfecting it, they completely lacked the outer focus to see the smartphone tsunami coming from Apple and Samsung. And we all know how that story ended. So here's the bottom line. You need all 3. Without that inner focus, you're rudderless, just drifting without a core set of values. Without other focus, you're pretty much clueless, stumbling through your social life. And without outer focus, you're just waiting to be blindsided by a change you never even saw coming. Okay, now for what I think is the most exciting and empowering idea in this whole thing.
Attention is not some fixed trait you were born with. It's a mental muscle. And just like any other muscle in your body, you can actually make it stronger with practice. Which brings us to the key question, right? If our world is basically a nonstop assault on our focus, how do we fight back? How do we build up our mental defenses and actually get stronger? Well, the answer lies in this amazing thing called neuroplasticity. It's the brain's incredible ability to physically change and rewire itself based on what you do over and over again. The pathways you use get stronger, and the ones you don't use, they get weaker. It is literally a case of use it or lose it.
So what does a bicep curl for your attention muscle actually look like? It is way simpler than you'd think. First, you just bring your focus to the sensation of your breathing. Now, your mind is going to wander, that's a guarantee. But here's the secret. The goal isn't to have a perfectly empty mind. The actual rep, the moment your attention muscle gets stronger, is that little instant you notice your mind has drifted and you gently guide it back. That's it. That's the whole workout.
Okay, so you do the workout, you build the muscle. What's the payoff in the real world? Well, the impact of having strong cognitive control, because that's what you're building, is absolutely incredible. Let's start with the legendary marshmallow test. Just imagine you're 4 years old again. Someone puts a marshmallow in front of you and says, you can eat this one now, or if you can wait 15 minutes, you can have 2. What do?
The results were just mind-blowing. 14 years later, the kids who had the focus and self-control to wait for that second marshmallow scored, on average, 210 points higher on their university entrance exams. Think about that. Cognitive control is a better predictor of your future financial success and health than your IQ or even how much money your family has. So this gives us a kind of practical roadmap, a receipt for your mind, if you will, based on that performance curve we looked at earlier. If you're feeling bored, disengaged, kind of checked out, your goal is to find motivation. The strategy is to align what you do with your skills, your passions, and your values. But if you're feeling stressed, frazzled, and overwhelmed, your goal is totally different. It's to find calm, and the strategy there is some kind of daily relaxation practice, meditation, yoga, hitting the gym, whatever works for you.
And this focus, it doesn't just change you, it can change the world around you. Goleman tells this beautiful story of a bus driver in New York City on a brutally hot day. Instead of being grumpy like everyone else, this driver gave his full, positive attention to every single person getting on the bus. He welcomed them, he created this little community. He completely changed the emotional weather on that entire bus. You see, the power to change your life and to make a difference in the lives of others, it doesn't have to be some grand gesture. It's not about going to the Himalayas. It all starts with the small, simple, but incredibly powerful choice of where you place your focus, moment by moment. So the only question left is, where will you direct your attention today?